If you'd looked at our family tree from the outside, you'd think it was thriving, strong roots, big trunk, plenty of branches. But if you looked closely, you'd see one branch covered in ribbons and lights, handed everything from birth, and one quietly pruned until it barely grew. I was the second branch. My sister, Natalie, was the first. And the favorite. By the time she was 8, she had a walk-in closet and a therapist. By 16, she had a car with her name stitched into the seats. Me? I got hand-me-down sweaters and a $100 Target gift card. For emergencies. And that was on a good year. The worst part? They never even pretended to treat us the same. They told everyone Natalie was gifted. Special. That she had that thing, whatever that thing was. All I had, according to them, was potential. Which, in my house, was code for not worth investing in until further notice. Grandpa Joe was the only one who didn't treat me like a disappointment in khakis. He wasn't loud about it. Never trash-talked my parents. But he saw me. He'd hand me old books with notes in the margins. Show me how to do things the real way, oil changes, patching drywall, making chili from scratch. He was sharp, stubborn, and allergic to show-offs. When he got sick, I was the one who visited. Not for Instagram. Not for inheritance. Just because. Natalie posted a "Love you always, Papa" photo the day after he died, a selfie with a latte and a peace sign. I showed up in work boots and cleaned out his garage. The funeral was a circus. Everyone fake crying, fake hugging, pretending like they hadn't ignored him for 5 years. Natalie wore all white. Said she was celebrating his soul. I overheard her asking someone if this counted as a soft launch for her new sunglasses brand. I stood in the back. I didn't go to the brunch after. I didn't expect anything from the will. Because years ago, when I was 20, my parents made their priorities very clear. We were sitting at the dinner table, them, Natalie, and me, when my dad said, "We're giving Natalie $10 million to invest in her future. She's building something. You." He didn't finish the sentence. My mom did. "You're a hard worker. That's your strength. You'll build your own success. You'll be proud when you earn it." I didn't argue. I just nodded. And later that night, while Natalie popped champagne in the backyard, I went online and applied for a third job. That was the last time I asked them for anything. Until last Tuesday, when I found out they held Grandpa's will reading. Without inviting me. I found out about Grandpa's will reading through Facebook. Because of course I did. My cousin Jenna, the one who once brought a vape pen to Easter brunch, posted a heavily filtered photo from inside the law office. The caption read, "Family First Grandpa Joe, we love you forever #Legacy Day #Gratitude Journey #Generational Healing." She was in the background. But front and center? My sister Natalie. Laughing, glass of water in hand like it was champagne. My mom leaning in, beaming. Dad off to the side, probably negotiating air rights on the family tree. Even Great Aunt June, who hadn't spoken to Grandpa in 5 years because he called her the weakest handshake in the Midwest. Everyone was there. Except me. I stared at the photo for a long time, trying to convince myself there had been a mix-up. That maybe someone forgot. That my name had been buried under a stack of mail. But deep down, I already knew the truth. They didn't forget me. They didn't want me there. And if this had been anyone else's will, I wouldn't have blinked. But this was Grandpa Joe. The only adult in my childhood who didn't treat me like I was a guest at my own family dinner table. Grandpa didn't just tell me I mattered. He showed me. He taught me how to change my own oil, how to use a miter saw without losing a finger, and how to tell the difference between someone who listens and someone who's just waiting for their turn to speak. He showed up to my shifts at a diner and tipped me 100% every time. He read every email I ever sent him, and replied, even when it was just a thumbs up. The last time I saw him, he handed me a book with a handwritten note in the front. To Landon, loud voices fade. True one's echo. You've got the echo. I drove to the law office the next morning. 70 miles? No call, no invite. Just me, an empty coffee cup, and a suspicion that Grandpa Joe had one more surprise left in him. I didn't wear anything fancy, just jeans, boots, and a sweatshirt he once complimented because it looked like you actually do things in it. When I walked into the lobby, the receptionist looked startled. They finished the reading yesterday. I know, I said. But I'm not here for them. She hesitated. Name? Landon Carter. Her eyebrows rose a millimeter. Then she stood, disappeared into the back, and returned with a man in a gray three-piece suit, rimless glasses, and a mustache that meant business. Mr. Carter, he said with a slight nod. Come with me. We didn't pass any family members. The conference room was half cleaned. Someone had taken the cookies but left the crumbs and tissues. It smelled like lemon cleaner and fake grief. The lawyer sat down, pulled out a thick folder, and opened it with a precision that felt final. Your grandfather gave very specific instructions, he said. He anticipated this. Then he handed me an envelope. My name, written in thick black ink. Grandpa's handwriting, blocky and confident, just like his signature chili recipe. I opened it with shaking hands. If they're reading this to you, it means they tried to leave you out. That was expected. They never saw you, not the way I did. But don't worry. I made sure they can't ignore you anymore. I didn't realize I was holding my breath until I let it go. Then the lawyer pulled out the actual will and read it out loud. I, Joseph Charles Carter, being of sound mind and probably sounder judgment than the lot of you deserve, hereby leave the entirety of my estate, including the house, savings, vehicles, tools, land, and associated assets, to my grandson, Landon James Carter. The only one who showed up when it mattered. Silence. Even the fluorescent lights buzzed quieter. I sat there, trying to process. I hadn't gotten a slice of the pie. I'd gotten the whole damn bakery. Everything. To me. I wasn't angry. I wasn't smug. I was just stunned. Because for the first time in my life, someone had looked at my family, looked at me, and said, he's the one who deserves it. It took less than 48 hours for the cracks to form. At first, it was just a voicemail from my mom. Sweet at the top, sour at the bottom, like a lemon meringue pie left out in the rain. Sweetheart, we heard something strange from the lawyer. Something about you receiving everything? That can't be right. You weren't even at the will reading. Let's talk. Okay? No apology. No. We should have told you. Just confusion that their plan hadn't worked. Then came the group text sent from Dad's phone, though the tone screamed. Natalie with a glass of white wine and an attitude. Family group chat. Dad, there's been a misunderstanding. Please don't do anything rash before we all talk this through. Natalie. Oh no, okay, now that we've had our little moment, can we be adults? Dad. Natalie, not helping. Natalie. It's just weird, okay? Grandpa was probably confused. We should be splitting things, not this. They weren't asking me for clarity. They were asking me to correct reality. To pretend it hadn't happened. I left the chat. That's when they went from passive-aggressive to just plain aggressive. Natalie called. I declined. She called again. I blocked. Then I got a text from Cousin Jenna. Hey! Awkward, I know. But your mom's super upset. She said you're being difficult. Can you maybe swing by their place so everyone can clear the air? Clear the air. That's what they always called it when they wanted me to sweep everything under the rug while they posed for family photos. I didn't reply. Instead, I packed a bag, got in my car, and drove straight to the house. My house. The key turned easily. The front door creaked the same way it had my entire life. The air inside smelled like lemon polish, tobacco, and quiet resentment. I walked through the rooms like I belonged there, because now I did. The creaky wood floors, the framed war medals, the old recliner with a blanket no one was allowed to wash. Grandpa's spirit lived in every square inch. I paused in the hallway, staring at the faint pencil lines still marked on the doorframe. My height, year by year. My name. Not Natalie's. Mine. That's when I heard it. A knock at the door. Soft at first. Then harder. More urgent. Landon? Mom's voice muffled. Open this door right now. I didn't move. We just want to talk, she added. About what? I said loudly through the door. The part where you left me out of the reading, or the part where you want to undo Grandpa's wishes. More knocking. Then Dad's voice. Son, let's be rational. We understand Grandpa was sentimental. He didn't always think things through. He thought through this, I said. He wrote it down. Had it witnessed. Signed and sealed. That's pretty damn thoughtful. Another pause. Then Natalie's voice. Come on, Landon. You don't even know how to handle a property like this. You're not exactly homeowner material. There it was. The dig. The assumption. The same old Natalie. I'll figure it out, I replied. Like you told me to do when you gave her $10 million and told me to go earn your own. Silence. A heavy one. Then I opened the door just a crack. Mom looked shocked. Dad looked tired. Natalie looked like she was about to throw a tantrum in heels. You don't know what you're doing, she snapped. No, I said. I know exactly what I'm doing. I'm not giving this back. Dad's voice was calm. Cold. You're making a mistake. No, I said. You did. When you forgot that Grandpa made his decisions after seeing how you treated me. Then I shut the door. Locked it. Deadbolt and all. Let them knock. I wasn't answering anymore. They gave it 3 days before they tried the legal route. I woke up to a formal letter shoved into the mailbox. Not mailed, not FedExed, literally shoved. Folded unevenly, addressed in my mom's handwriting, but with a law firm's letterhead. Inside? A printed statement. To whom it may concern, we believe Joseph Carter was not of sound mind at the time his will was finalized. We intend to challenge the document based on undue influence and familial exclusion. Translation? We're mad you won. We can't undo it, so now we'll try to drown you in paperwork and hope you fold. It was bold, considering Grandpa had updated his will 3 times over the last decade, each one more explicit than the last. And every single version said the same thing: I get everything. I called the attorney who handled the will, Mr. Calhoun, a man who could make oak trees feel insecure. He picked up after 2 rings. Mr. Carter, he said. I figured you'd be calling. I've already spoken to their lawyer. Quite a theatrical little stunt, considering they signed as witnesses 6 years ago. My jaw dropped. They what? Oh yes, he said, with the tiniest smirk in his voice. Both your mother and father signed the 2017 version as witnesses, which matches the 2021 version almost word for word. Their claim won't hold. I sat back in the chair and exhaled for the first time all day. And Natalie? I asked. She's not listed on any version of the will. I almost felt bad. Almost. That night, the family group chat blew up again. I'd rejoined it briefly, out of morbid curiosity. The messages came in rapid fire. Dad, this is bigger than just paperwork. Let's not make this ugly. Natalie, too late. Landon's being a psycho. He's weaponizing Grandpa's grief for clout. Mom, we need to resolve this internally. Me, then you should have included me in the internal meeting to read the will. Dad, be careful what bridges you burn. Me, you already doused them in gasoline. I just stopped standing on them. Left the chat again. This time for good. Then came the pettiness. Someone, I won't name names, but their name rhymes with flatally, posted a photo carousel on Instagram. Childhood photos with Grandpa, staged garden shots, even a quote card that said, "We honor those who gave us roots, even when others try to rip them out." The comments were all variations of, So proud of you, babe, family always wins. And one haunting. Get what's yours crown. I didn't comment. Didn't post a thing. But I did make one call, to the local paper Grandpa subscribed to for 41 years. I asked if they were doing an obituary feature. They were. I sent in a full write-up, his military photo, and a line from a letter he once wrote me. When the world tells you you're optional, show up anyway. 2 days later, they published it. Full spread. Page 3. No mentions of Natalie. One line that said, "He is survived by his grandson, Landon, who cared for him in his final year and was the sole recipient of his estate." I didn't send the paper to my parents. I didn't need to. I knew they'd read it. 2 weeks. That's how long it took before the fire in their eyes flickered into something else. Not remorse. Not reflection. Just fear. Fear that I wasn't going to fold. That I wasn't bluffing. That this time, the weird quiet one really had all the power. The next letter came in a manila envelope, dropped off by someone who didn't even knock. Just slipped it through the mail slot like it was evidence. The return address? A mediator named Sandra who used a Gmail account and a floral logo that looked like it belonged on a wellness blog. "I specialize in high-emotion estate matters," it read. "Your parents and sister have expressed a desire to begin the healing process through structured dialogue." Structured dialogue, code for. We finally realized yelling didn't work, so now we're going to try sounding reasonable. I tossed the letter onto the counter. Then I got to work. Moving in. Not just metaphorically. Literally. I packed up my studio apartment, all 300 square feet of it, and started hauling things into the house that used to smell like Grandpa's chili and now smelled like fresh paint and second chances. The garage became a workshop. The living room, mine. The upstairs office, now full of my notes, my projects, my voice. I framed the will and hung it on the wall. Petty? Maybe. But so was leaving your kid out of a legal reading and trying to rewrite a legacy with Instagram posts and legal threats. Joe and Alexis came by the first weekend. We tore out the rotting flower beds in the front yard and planted new ones. Lavender, rosemary, and this stubborn little blue plant Joe insisted was lucky. Bruno barked at a squirrel and then took a nap in a sunbeam like he owned the place. I hadn't felt that calm in years. And then, right on cue, the call. Voicemail. From my dad. "Landon, your mother and I have been thinking. We understand this hasn't been easy. We'd like to visit. Just talk. As a family." It sounded like a man trying to read a script written by someone who owed him money. I listened once. Then again. Just to be sure I heard the part where he almost sounded sorry. But here's the thing about apologies in my family. They only came after you got something they wanted. And this time? I had everything. The will. The house. The story. The leverage. And worst of all for them, the truth. They couldn't control the narrative anymore. Couldn't say I was ungrateful, or a drifter, or just didn't want success bad enough. Because I had it now. Not their version. Mine. That weekend I hosted a real dinner. Just friends. No family. We grilled burgers, made cocktails in mason jars, and played a terrible 2000s playlist from an old Bluetooth speaker with a cracked bass. No one talked over each other. No one tried to rewrite my memory. No one made me feel like I was in the wrong body, in the wrong house, for having the nerve to just be myself. After everyone left, I stood on the porch. The sun had just dipped behind the trees. Fireflies blinked in the distance like the universe was winking at me. I thought about all the versions of myself I'd played just to stay tolerated. Then I thought about Grandpa's letter. His trust. His last stand. He didn't leave me this house as a gift. He left it as a statement. A correction. A closing argument to a family that kept telling me I was background noise. Now I was the headline. And for the first time in my life, I didn't have to raise my voice to be heard. It started with an email. No subject line. Just one line in the body. Let's not throw away 30 years over a misunderstanding. Signed, Mom. No apology. No explanation. Just that. I stared at it for a long time, like maybe it would rewrite itself if I glared hard enough. 30 years? You mean the 30 years where I was treated like the understudy to a show I never wanted to be in? Where I got birthday cards with gift cards that were accidentally left blank, while Natalie got a down payment on a condo and a Chanel bag for surviving a breakup? I didn't reply. 3 days later, she showed up in person. Unannounced. Just appeared on the porch like an unexpected audit. She wore sunglasses, pearls, and a pastel sweater set like she was starring in a miniseries called Suburban Guilt: The Reckoning. Bruno barked once, then just stared at her through the window with the same judgment I felt in my bones. She knocked. Softly. A kind of knock that said, "I'm pretending this is civil so you don't slam the door in my face." I opened it halfway. "Hi, sweetheart," she said. I didn't answer. Just waited. She cleared her throat. "I just want to talk. No drama. No yelling. I thought maybe we could figure something out." "You bring a lawyer?" I asked. "No," she said, forcing a smile. "Just me. And this." She pulled a manila folder out of her bag and handed it to me like it was a housewarming gift. Inside, a formal buyout offer. $850,000 for the house, land, and all rights associated with Grandpa's estate. I laughed. Not hard. Just one of those breathy, disbelieving sounds that comes out when you can't decide if something's hilarious or infuriating. "You're trying to buy me out of something Grandpa gave me? It's a generous offer," she said. "You're young. You could use the money to start fresh. Launch something. Travel. Get out of this little town. Right. Because money heals betrayal?" Her smile flickered. "This isn't about betrayal. It's about closure. Natalie's been having a hard time." "There it is," I said. "The Natalie clause. She's your sister. And I'm your son," I shot back. "But that didn't stop you from giving her $10 million and telling me to earn my own worth like I was some kind of contestant on Family Survivor." She winced. "You don't have to be bitter, Landon." "I'm not," I said. "I'm clear. Big difference." We stood there for a while, wind picking up around us. A neighbor's wind chime rattled in the distance like background music to Emotional Consequences. "I'm offering you a chance to move forward," she said. "No," I said. "You're offering me hush money. You just don't like that I've finally got the mic." For a second, 1 second, I saw something crack behind her sunglasses. Not sadness. Just the realization that the old script wouldn't work anymore. "You've changed," she muttered. "No," I said. "I just stopped apologizing for staying in the picture." Then I stepped back. Closed the door. This time with no hesitation. Inside, I set the folder on the counter. Made a sandwich. Roast beef, extra mustard, Grandpa's favorite. Put on a Miles Davis record and opened the back door to let in the late spring air. Then I texted Joe. "They offered $850,000. Turned it down." She replied 3 seconds later. "That's my rich best friend. Also, I'm naming a cocktail after you." And just like that, I realized something. For the first time ever, I wasn't for sale. She showed up in a black Escalade. Of course she did. Natalie had always treated family matters like red carpet events. I expected her to roll out wearing a power suit and sunglasses, ready to PR her way through a personal disaster. Instead, she looked plain. No camera crew. No ring light. Just jeans, sneakers, and a tight ponytail that screamed, "I'm pretending I'm humble." She didn't come to the front door. She stood at the foot of the porch like a contractor waiting for an estimate. I watched her from the kitchen window for a solid 30 seconds before stepping outside. "Didn't think you'd come alone," I said. "I figured if I brought Mom or Dad, you'd throw a rake at me." "Tempting," I said. "I just cleaned the shed." She let out a hollow laugh, then looked up at the house. I forgot how big this place was. No one forgot, I said. You just stopped visiting. Natalie took a breath, then sat on the bottom step. I didn't join her. I stood above, not out of spite. Just because I'd been down there my whole life. I want to be honest, she said. I'm pissed. Not gonna lie. Same. You didn't even call me. Not once. You just ghosted us, moved in, posted up like you were the king of some revenge movie. You mean the house I was legally left in a notarized will? You don't get it, she snapped. You don't know what this did to the family. Did to the family? I repeated. Natalie. They cut me out of Grandpa's will reading. They tried to erase me before the ink dried. And now you're mad I kept what was already mine. Her face twisted like she bit into something sour. I just thought. She started, then stopped. I thought we'd split it. Why? Because we're family. That word. She said it like a shield, as if family was supposed to absolve everything. You want to talk family? I said. Let's talk about how when I asked Mom for help with tuition, she said I needed to learn how the world works, but when you asked, she sent a check with a handwritten note and a glitter pen. Let's talk about the $10 million. The way you called me a freeloader when I worked 2 jobs and you were running a wellness candle brand from a pool chair in Palm Springs. She didn't argue. She didn't deny. She just looked tired. You think I don't know I was their favorite? She asked. I don't care who was the favorite, I said. I care who showed up. We sat in silence for a minute. Then she said something I didn't expect. He used to write me letters, too. But they stopped after I missed Thanksgiving. Yeah, I said. He started writing me instead. She stood up. I'm not gonna beg, she said. I just wanted to look you in the eye and say it. Say what? She paused. Then, you earned it. Even if I hate that it wasn't me, you earned it. It was the closest thing to an apology I'd ever heard from her. I nodded. Just once. You still doing candles? I asked. She snorted. No. Turns out that market's saturated with rich girls who think sage can solve betrayal. Imagine that. She turned to go. Stopped. Looked back. If you ever decide to sell, call me first. I won't. I figured, she said. Still, call me anyway. And then she left. No tantrum. No stunt. Just the sound of a car door, an engine, and one chapter closing for good. That night, I sat on the porch and thought about everything I didn't say. And realized I didn't need to say it anymore. They finally saw me. And I didn't have to disappear again to prove I was real. It took me a while to go through the attic. I kept putting it off. Too dusty. Too emotional. Too many boxes filled with memories that didn't know how to mind their business. But one Sunday morning, with nothing on the schedule but coffee and quiet, I pulled the ladder down and climbed up with a flashlight and an old flannel tied around my waist like armor. It was just as chaotic as I remembered. Stacks of old toolboxes. Photo albums. Yellow tax forms from the 1980s. A wooden crate labeled, "Do not touch, Landon, this means you." Which obviously meant I opened it first. Inside? One of Grandpa's journals. Not the kind with deep wisdom or philosophical ramblings. The man hated anything too abstract. It was mostly lists. Project ideas. Things he wanted to fix around the house. A few notes about chili ratios. And then, in the back, one line. If you're reading this, kid, you did it. You stayed. I sat down right there on the attic floor, next to a box of tangled extension cords, and let myself feel it. Because that was the thing about Grandpa. He didn't do big speeches or dramatic gestures. But he always left you something. A tool. A tip. A flashlight in the dark. And that one line? It was enough. After the attic, I made the final changes around the house. Hung up the family photo he took when I was 12, the only one where I wasn't cropped out. Planted tomatoes in the garden out back, just like he wanted. Replaced the busted porch light, fixed the squeaky screen door, and donated every single decorative rooster from the kitchen to a thrift store that didn't deserve that trauma. The town started to notice, too. People who used to smile through me now waved from their yards. Mr. Carter's grandson, they'd say. Good kid. Quiet. Polite. Didn't take the money and run. Even got asked to join the town committee for next year's fall festival. Said no. Bruno and I had bigger plans, peace, barbecue, and finally finishing the mystery novel I started writing back when I still believed the only story worth telling was someone else's. Now, I was the story. I got one final letter from the lawyer. Nothing legal. No surprise siblings or back taxes. Just a copy of Grandpa's original letter, typed out, framed in a clean little black border. Not all roots are visible. Not all homes are big. But some foundations are built on showing up. Thanks for showing up. JC. I hung it above the desk. The house was mine. The silence was mine. The legacy? It was mine, too. And I wasn't going anywhere.